Yeah. Right. There's sounds all over the place. Let me just mute one of them.
Okay, let me see.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. They sound good. Welcome to WoW Live. I think now we should be able to talk. Okay, then maybe we can continue on Facebook.
Yeah.
And leave Instagram for next time. Sorry, Instagram friends, come over to Facebook and look how, look for us there. We're trying to get this perfected for next week. Okay. So
Never mind.
Here we are. So today, Karina, you're going to tell us just 3 things that come up more often in your work about baby sleep.
Yes.
Wait to hear that all. And I'm sure our
hello, I'm Karina, and I am the founder of Calm Sleep, and I help sleep-deprived parents achieve a little bit more sleep with caring and using a caring and holistic approach that takes a really broad view of babies and children's needs. So not just looking at night, but looking throughout the day. It's very much offer an alternative to sleep training, to kind of more traditional sort of cried out sleep training sort of approaches. So as you said, today we're talking about the 3 most common reasons why babies and children wake frequently in the night. And of course, for parents with isolation, the whole isolation life is having a little bit of an impact on any one or all of this. So we're going to kind of dip into that a little bit. But I think first it's important to take a step back and really acknowledge that most of us need a little bit of sleep to fall asleep, right? A little bit of help to fall asleep as adults as well. We might need to read a little bit. We might have little rituals that we do, brushing teeth, washing face, having a wash or whatever. We might have the very bad habit of looking at our phones before we fall asleep. So it's no wonder that, children also need a little bit of help, and babies, even more so. And also, it's also important to realize that actually we do wake up at night, all of us. But mostly we just wake up, we turn around the bed, we might put a cover up or cover down, and then we drift back to sleep and don't even remember we've woken up the next morning. So, babies and children are waking up at night in the same way as we are, but they might still need some that warm reassurance from a parent to just drift back into sleep. Or they might just be hungry and they need some food to stop their hunger. It all depends on their age. It all depends on the individual baby and child. So, it is basically waking at night is normal. And especially so for babies. But of course, that doesn't make anyone's life easier. If I say, well, your baby's just waking up because they're babies. But part of it really is just for that reason. What parents most frequently tell me that is more of an issue is they're waking up every hour at night, every hour and a half, every couple of hours at night. And then that is really, really tiring. And of course, for a younger baby, that might be well within normal for a newborn baby. But for an older baby or a toddler or older child or slightly older child, that can be changed, that can be optimized, let's put it this way. So, isolation can also be putting another challenge in there, because it's just, some parents are telling me that their children were not waking up at night before, and now since isolation, they are. Or they were waking up, in a manageable way, and now they're waking up every hour or so. And that is, well, I don't need to tell you, isn't it, how it feels? It's very, very tiring. So in my experience, there are 3 main reasons for those frequent wake-ups at night, besides just being a young baby. One is being overtired, how your baby's falling asleep at night, and parents being too quick to jump to action, basically. So starting with being overtired, we'll start with that because it's really common for children and babies to be overtired by bedtime, and also it makes the whole bedtime more stressful. All the crying and all of that, those battles at night. So when we're overtired, we release cortisol. That's us, adults, children, babies. When we're overtired, we release cortisol. When we're stressed, when we're anxious, we release cortisol. Cortisol is really, really good at keeping us awake. And it also makes falling asleep a lot more difficult. Something else that cortisol does is that it lowers the quality and the quantity of sleep. So if there's a lot of cortisol at bedtime, then sleep is bound to be not as good at night. And the same for naps, actually. If the baby or child is too tired, overtired at nap time, then they find it difficult to fall asleep, and they don't nap for long enough, for as long as they need. So one thing is connected to another, really. So it's really important for a better better night and an easier bedtime to help babies and children sleep enough during the day. The other thing is the actual bedtime, and that is a topic in itself, actually. But the bedtime is, think of bedtime as a time to be nurturing, a time to be calming and relaxing. So it's all about oxytocin. Bedtime is all about oxytocin. So it's the two things working together, is helping them not to be overtired and making a really nurturing, loving time for that kind of separation that we're hoping to have at night. The kind of behavior that you see. Go ahead.
No, I just wanted to say it's things that are nice for us parents as well. Like to have a not overtired child is great, and to have a lot of cuddles is great as well. So maybe sometimes it's about indulging in what we want to do anyway. Maybe.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's good for them, it's good for us, and it makes everyone happy. So why not to do it? Why not do it? Absolutely. That is exactly it. So it's not kind of, babies and children, they don't need to learn to sleep. We know how to sleep. But it's about kind of making the best of what is available, really, isn't it? It's just encouraging those relationships and encouraging all of those positive feelings and feeding on that, and then steering to the way that we want it to happen, basically.
Yeah. Thank you.
The kind of behavior that you see in babies and children when they're overtired is that kind of arching. With babies, you really see that they really arch, or second wind in younger children or toddlers. That is overtiredness. When we go, oh no, they just got the second wind, let's just let them run. You're bound to have a really bad night then. Next day, try to do a little bit earlier. Next day, try to help them rest in the day so they don't get to that point of second wind. So, the thing with the naps is that most people underestimate how much babies need to sleep in the day, especially babies, but also young children. That is on my website. People can get a free nap guide that you just can go there and download it. And that is helpful to just gauge. It's a guide, okay? So it's not like this is the amount of sleep that your baby did or not, but it's a guide to help gauge how long babies are often okay to stay awake before they need to sleep again.
And remember your website,
calm-sleep.com. Maybe I can leave a link later. I don't know. We'll see.
It out there. I'm sure lots of parents will be interested.
Because actually that's helpful even for like 3-4 years old child, because often people drop those naps too early, and then toddlers still need a little bit of rest, even if it's just a calming point in the day, just to go, whew. It's all about sleep pressure. It's biology, right? So they build that sleep pressure, and they need to release that. And when we don't, we get cortisol, we get overtired, and then everything gets a bit harder. So
many cultures have a nap even for adults, right?
Absolutely.
So we are kind of in a part of the world where we tend to be active during the day, very concentrated active hours, and then sleep a big chunk at night. But then maybe we can take it in step to get there with our children. They don't.
Absolutely. That kind of monophasic sleep is unusual. Really, in the world is unusual. Then we have a coffee after lunch because we need something to keep us awake. Our bodies at that point goes, actually just need a little rest. It's not a long rest. It's just a little, just to release some sleep pressure and then be able to build up again. Yeah. And if you think of newborn babies, they need releasing those sleep pressures several times throughout the day as well as the night. And as we grow, then we get to a point that we might just need it as adults once in the day, or we might just about make it through until whatever time you go to bed without a sleep. So it takes a while. It takes a while to develop that pattern of sleep that we have as adults. Yeah. Now, isolation can be having an effect in those nap gaps, actually, especially for toddlers. Because, anyone that has a toddler or has been around a toddler know how energetic they are, how much physical activity they need, how much stimuli they need. And the isolation is actually really quite hard to keep up with those physical needs and their stimuli. So they, if you have a toddler, you might find that they are not tired enough for the nap, for their usual nap. And then they're fighting that, and then they skip that nap. And then they might have one later or not have a nap at all. And then they're overtired at night, and then it snowballs. So it's kind of, again, using that nap gap guide, it might help to just gauge, to be able to extend the nap gap, to be able to kind of readjust your child's sleep needs during the day. So it's all about listening, looking at your child, seeing what they need, use that guide as just as a guide. And then, but observe your child and just then play with what they need. We are not constant, children are not constant at all. So we need to kind of always be adjusting and readjusting and readjusting.
Yeah.
So the other two last most common issues, reasons that babies and children wake frequently at night seem to be affected by one same thing, which is emotional contagion. So, babies and children picking up on our stress and fears, and then and our anxiety, and feeling in a similar way. So, looking after our own emotions and our well-being and our sleep not just helps us to, be able to be calmer at bedtime and so on, but also has a direct impact on our children's sleep. This is really, really important. And in isolation, it is hard, especially, looking after children 24/7 all the time, trying to homeschool and work and everything else is a lot of pressure that we're all having at the moment. So it's trying to slow down and take it easy a little bit and take the foot off. And if your child's not sleeping through the night, maybe it's okay for a little bit longer and just take the pressure off a bit.
Yes. Many of us maybe have this dilemma once the kids are in bed and finally asleep. We have this temptation to log into Netflix and have our time by ourselves. And on one side, it's fantastic because it switches off our brain and we can get that relaxation. And on the other side, we end up maybe sleep deprived ourselves. And as you say, then we kickstart that kind of bad cycle.
Yes, absolutely. So it's a fine line, isn't it? That we're trying to have quality time, but at the same time trying to fulfill our needs, our biological needs, really, with sleep. Sleep is so important. We really highly underestimate the importance of sleep for adults. So it's hard. It's a hard balance.
Yeah, like things in parenting, right?
Do it every day. Perhaps have some days that you enjoy Netflix, some days that you go to bed earlier.
Yeah.
So the next common factor is how your baby sleep. That was a question about dummies or something like that. That is the category that dummies fall into, right?
Yes. How to get rid of the pacifier? Yes.
the same as swaddling, actually. So that was more the tips, and I think we'll go back to that, but it falls into this category. So basically, how your baby's falling asleep is, think of the last thing that your baby and child is experiencing before they drift off to sleep. What is happening there? So, it really, in my view, I think that is rocking to sleep, feeding to sleep, cuddling to sleep. There's nothing wrong with that. If it's working for your family, if it's working for you. If it's working for you, fine. But I really am a true believer that there's no problem if it's not a problem for you, right? And if it is a problem for you, then change. Then do things to change. Otherwise, it's your family. You do what you like, basically. It's not a problem, but, and also for young children, all of this shushing and feeding and cuddling is actually really helping to reassure, to calm them, and to actually regulate their bodies so they can feel safe and then drift off to sleep. So for younger children and younger babies, this is needed for most babies, and it's okay. So what might be helpful to do as they grow is to make the last bit before they fall asleep really simple and really low effort. So say that if I'm, putting my baby to sleep or my child to sleep, and I am feeding, I'm rocking at the same time, and I have music, and daddy is singing or reading a book next. There's so much going on that when they wake up in the middle of the night for their normal wake, because we've seen that that's normal to wake up in the night, they will, as us, expect the same conditions. So then you will need to do all of that kafafo again. So make it simple. So have all those lovely elements in the bedtime routine, and then finish off just with one element. And then you can kind of overlap and layer kind of what might be what you want to substitute. So that in the dummy case, so you could, that's something that is happening there with the dummy. That's the kind of how the baby is falling asleep, maybe in the evening, and then maybe putting something else there. And then once the baby gets used to that something else, then little by little, take the other one. But, as you know much better than I do, Sylvia, it's all about memory and building memory. So it takes a while. It takes a little while. It takes patience. And it takes...
This was one thing that I was thinking when you said before about, you said something like, okay, today things went like this. Tomorrow, I'm going to make sure he sleeps a bit earlier. So I like that because it gave me a hint that we need to think long term. We cannot think, okay, tonight my child is going to sleep because I've got these tricks from Karina, tak, tak, tak. But it's more like having the long view, having the long perspective, and knowing that troubleshooting here and then, it might be a little bit difficult, but maybe I can have some ideas of how to structure my life, basically, so that little by little we fall into that nice rhythm for the whole family. Does it make sense?
Yes, absolutely. And actually, the whole family changes over time anyway. So it's more useful to have those skills to be able to change with life and then adapt as the time goes on, than having strict, kind of troubleshooting. That's it. That's what we're doing forever. Life is not in that way. It doesn't work in that way anyway. Family life, even less so.
Definitely. Yes.
Definitely, yeah. So, so make it really simple, that last little bit before going to sleep. Make it something that is, you are okay to, you mind the least to go in the middle of the night and do it.
Yeah.
Right? That's the thing. They will need to help for a while. They will need reassurance for a while. So try to make it as easy as possible for yourself. But also remember that, in the current situation that we are, children and babies, they don't understand what's happening, but they feel it. They're feeling, because of emotional contagion. They might be feeling, not all of them will. Some will be just going through it without, a worry in the world. But some of them are really feeling it. So they might need those extra cuddles. They might need the extra reassurance. It's the same as when they're going through different stages of development and so on. They might, they're likely to, sleep is the first one that goes down, and they need that extra little lift for a little while.
Yeah.
it's, sleep is 2 steps forward, 1 step backwards, 2 steps forward, 1 step back, and it's okay. It's okay. So the last reason, very quickly, is parents jumping onto action too quickly when babies and children move at night. Babies especially are very, very noisy when they sleep. They grunt, they do piggy noises. Some children, they kind of, sit up, open their eyes, and then they kind of go back to sleep. So, and they might not need the parents to do anything. They might not need any help to fall asleep. So wait for a second, be curious, listen to what your little one is saying. And then if they need you, go there straight away and help them to fall asleep again in a kind of in a warm, calm reassurance. Give them that what they need. But wait a second and listen to what they're asking.
This is definitely like a mistake I did with my firstborn. And when I reflect about it, looking back, it's like it gave me a sort of sense of anxiety a little bit. When I heard my child waking up, it was like, and then if I'm thinking, even if it just to calm down that sense of anxiety, giving myself a few seconds to just say, oh yeah, that happened again. Oh yeah, it's not too bad. It's just what happens to all parents in the world, and it's fine. And kind of, while I'm thinking maybe back then I would just go to him and just with all my baggage of anxiety, basically, that probably wasn't the best thing to help him fall asleep again.
And you know what, babies, they need that quick action. But if and I say that all the time, Sylvia, that's something I say to pretty much every parent of a young baby. It's just our kind of mother instinct. We just jump to action. Our whole body is responding to that cry. So it's natural. But take a breath, one breath, and go, and then pick the baby up.
Yeah.
One breath, just to, as you say, let that baggage of anxiety down, and then pick the baby up in a different level, in a different way, and go, calm voice, and it's all right, it's okay. Even if inside you're feeling, oh my God, just, it's all right, it's okay, baby, it's okay. And actually, we are telling ourselves, I'm okay, I'll be all right through this cry as well. We're telling ourselves as well.
Yeah.
So it works in that way.
Really valuable advice. Thank you.
That's those 3 most common reasons why babies and young children wake frequently at night is being overtired, how babies fall asleep, and parents being too quick to give support. And of course, there's the extra layer of isolation, which is, might be increasing cortisol there and anxiety, not just on us, but on our children as well. So some practical things that people can do to help is enough naps in the day, make it really simple when falling asleep, and be curious before jumping to action. And something for the whole family is nurture oxytocin in the day and at bedtime. But that is important for everyone and hugely important for sleep.
Love and cuddles.
Yes.
Thank you. Do you mind if I ask you a few questions that we've collected in our network, so on our BabyBrains website, on our Italian arm of BabyBrains, and also, of course, on the Essex Baby Lab website? They are, like our kind of headquarters for our WoW group, which means from the womb to the world. And what we do there is that we put really the parents at the center of everything. They are the expert on their children, but we, as expert, we try as kind of expert in a specific field, not on your child, but expert on a field. We try to be there and advise and help. So yes, the Essex Baby Lab is hosting now this WoW Live because we cannot be there in person, and so we're trying to still reach everyone in their homes. And and we would like to thank you, our colleagues over at Essex University. So from all those networks, we have a few questions. One is, how do I ensure that the room is at the right temperature in the summer? Very physical.
Well, you know what? I can, with the link I'm going to send for my website, I can also send a link to very good resources, Lullaby Trust and Basis online. They are very, very good for safety, and they talk all about temperature and all of that. But in a nutshell, You need to consider layers. If it's really, really hot at night, maybe just a nappy will be enough. So, consider layers. You need to consider the room temperature. So sometimes in the summer, it's worth closing the blinds in the day if it's in the sunny part of the house. And then at night, once the sun is away, open the blinds, open the windows, and let the fresh air of the night come in. Even if it's really hot, that is still gonna, just circulate that air. Maybe give a cooler bath before bed. I've been known when going to Brazil to put my children's teddies in the freezer in the day, and then when they got the teddies at night, they just have, it doesn't last long because it's not wet, but it's just that little cool feeling before falling asleep, so they can actually fall asleep. So things like that. But you know what? If it's really hot and humid, we find it hard to sleep, and so will children. So it's just hoping for cooler weather. There's a few things, but I can send those links. It will help with kind of amount of layers depending on the temperature, and they have all sorts of little things like that.
Thank you. I think that's helpful, especially the teddy bear in the freezer. Why does my baby wake up whenever I try to put her in the cot? Evergreen.
Well, think of I don't know how old that baby is, but think that a few weeks or a few months before, that baby was in the womb, nice and cozy, all cuddly. And then now they're outside and we're expecting that baby to sleep in a flat surface, or without being cuddled. It is completely alien for the baby of how that feels. So it's understandable that they go, what is going on? And also being carriage, being on a parent or on a person, it helps to regulate all of the systems in a baby. So it just makes it easier for them to feel safe and to actually go to base and then drift off to sleep. And then as soon as we put them down, they wake up. Right? There are many other reasons also, especially if the baby is a newborn, there are other reasons as well. They need to feed, they don't sleep in the deep sleep for long. It's just very, very short. There's lots of things. But if you really want, and I totally understand that, parents want their babies to sleep in a bed at some point. But something that you can do is, again, persistency and patience. Put them down every day. Not when they're crying, not when they're upset, when they are nice and soothed, and so you've done all of the work and your baby's happy, and then you just put them down gently and carefully, and maybe hold their arms for a bit and then let go after a while, and then just sit there. Take a breath, take a book, look on your phone, do whatever you like, but stay there. As soon as they feel they start behaving in a kind of, start crying, even before they start crying, pick them up slowly and carefully, and then soothe them, and that's it. You can try again another time in the day or the next day. Little by little, do that, and just for longer and longer and longer. If you get 5 minutes with your baby on the bed, it's a winner already. So you're already kind of one little step forward. Yeah. Keep doing, and then your baby eventually will learn that actually the bed is also a safe place to be. And whenever I need, mom is here and she's going to come to me, so I can just relax. It's fine. Persistency, patience.
That's fantastic. Yeah, and I think it really helps to think, if my child sees the bed as a place where mom is not there and dad is not there, that's not what we want, right? We want them to know that they're still safe, we're still around, even if they're in their bed. And maybe that's one mistake that I certainly have done that mistake of, jumping the steps, basically expecting, okay, that's your room, you sleep here, bye. And, soon enough, that now my son is 8 and he goes in his room and closes the door and I can't go in. And I'm like, So, so another question, how long should a newborn sleep? You kind of mentioned that already, probably more than you think. Should I let the baby sleep on my chest while I'm awake?
So newborn babies sleep, like majority of them will sleep between 14 and 17 hours throughout the 24, evenly spread through day and night. Okay, and then little by little they start sleeping more at night and less in the day. And on the chest, you know what? As long as you're awake, and that is, it's a safety issue there. But as long as you're awake, sleeping in the chest is one of those pleasures of having a baby. And it's lovely. It feels nice. And any sleep is good sleep. It lowers their sleep pressure. If you're talking about biology and what babies' sleep needs, any sleep is good. On the cot, on the chest, on the pushchair, on the sling, it's all good. So, if we're talking about biological needs, it's absolutely fine. If we're talking about social norms, then do what you think is right. Do what you think it feels right, I think.
Yeah. Thank you. Now, one question for a bit older children. How to stop a 2-year-old waking at 5:15? It's very precise. So I feel the pain from this precision. Bedtime is around 7:30.
Well, early awake is a tricky one. I'm not going to lie, okay? Because that could be so many things in that early awake for the reason for that. And sometimes it's just a matter of kind of growing out of it eventually, right? So it could be that child needs an earlier bedtime, a later bedtime. It could be that you need to fiddle with that nap if that child still has a nap. It could be that child, especially at this time of year when you start getting the sun coming through the window, that some children are very sensitive to light in the early hour in the morning. So it could be that. It could be that they have a bowel movement every day at the same time, so they wake up because of that. So there's so many things that it could be, and it would be impossible for me to give an answer without really digging deeper into that. But those are things that you can try and kind of have a go at.
Yeah. Thank you it's already a good place to start, and knowing what to observe, what to put your attention towards.
It's 18 hours.
Sorry, this is my computer too. I have one more question here, and it is, when is it a good time to drop the morning nap? My child is 1 year old.
No, 1 year old, they still need a morning nap. They definitely need 2 or maybe possibly even 3 naps in the day. So get the nap gap, the nap gap guide, and that will give a really good idea of how long they might be able to stay awake. So 1 year old is still a baby. So still need a lot of sleep.
Okay, I think this was it from the questions. I'm sure the topic of sleep, there is so much to talk about, and it's so fascinating. And it's wonderful, Karina, how you talk about it in such caring and nurturing and an open way that leaves really space to the individual in there, and the kind of magical almost dance that can, exist in between parents and children, and it's going to be a different dance in every single family. So thank you for the guidance, and also thank you for letting space to each parent to look into their own child and their own relationship with their child and their own needs, because they are part of the picture as well.
Absolutely.
I think this really, really does help, like always, and in particular now that we really need all the help we can get in this times that are where our stimulations are very different from usual, where maybe anxiety is particularly high for some. So thank you. It's really, really precious work, and hopefully it's also like all those cuddles and all those oxytocin moments are gonna make us have maybe even more fun or more good time during this isolation, and they will maybe point us to the wonder that WoW is here to point us all to.
Yes. Yeah.
So
thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank also Silvia and Maria Laura at the Essex University. Thank you to the whole WoW group. It's a really wonderful resource for all parents. So look them up if you haven't already, on the University of Essex, and there is a lot that you can learn from the advisors. And especially the most important thing is to remember the expert on your child is you.
Yes.
Okay, well, have a lovely, relaxing evening and hopefully a wonderful night after that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Karina.
See ya.
Bye.